Thousand Autumns, is a Meng Xi Shi novel. This is an audiobook made by fans for other fans. Disclaimer. The main couple of the story is made up of two men. If you don't like it, don't listen. Thank you. Remember, subscribe and click the bell to stay updated on all the new releases. Enjoy. Chapter 87. The people Shen Qiao saw were not others, but Guan Lingxin, the leader of the Mirror sect. At that time, the three divisions of the demonic sect were separated, and the Mirror sect went away to run into Yuhan. Now, the world is chaotic, so Guan Lingxin repeatedly intervened in the original martial arts, and also participated in the encirclement of Yan Wushi, so that he could take a share in the future. As soon as the news came out, the forces of the Fahing sect immediately extended to the east, quickly pulling up several forces in the Zhou dynasty near the Tuyuhan border in the Zhou dynasty, consolidating their foundations by the way. Speaking of Mirror sect, Shen Qiao had not dealt with this lord of the Mirror sect so much, but the other party's identity is special. As the lord of the sect, it is inevitable to attract attention, but the other party rarely shows up on the Jianghu, and there is nobody around him. Then somebody recognized him, and the other's wide-sleeved robes flowed from under the porch, just like an unusual habit. Shen Qiao instructed Yuan Song to sit here and not walk around, then he got up and walked in the direction of Guan Lingxin, disappearing. He seems to be walking in the court, but actually shrinks into an inch. As he walks in the clouds, he drifts away without leaving any traces. The maidservant of Wang Fu who's passing by him only feels that someone is passing. When she turned around, Shen Qiao had already disappeared. Only those who have practiced in Xuandu Mountains light work to be fascinated by Tianqiu Hongying can make such a stunning realm. As everyone knows, Guan Lingxin looked like he was just wandering at will, and his feet were also fast. Shen Qiao turned to the corner, and three directions appeared in front of him. A corridor led to the atrium, a gravel road was used as the landscape in the park, and there was also a passage. To the backyard pond, the Huang family occupied a large area in Runan. Here, the rockery at front is blocking the view. Guan Lingxin had disappeared, and it was difficult to judge which way he went. Shen Qiao stood still for a while, but gave up the middle path. He thought that was most likely to find Guan Lingxin, and chose the last one. The Huang family is a wealthy local. This garden is attached to the house next door. It was originally used for the host family to entertain guests. There is no reason to go there, but there may be hosts in the garden to entertain guests, so ordinary people will not go to the back. Shen Qiao walked along to the direction of the pond for a while. He had already set his footsteps to the lightest. Suddenly, he heard the whispered voice in front of him. One of the voices made his heart weigh more. As if he was severely hit, his breath would be disturbed immediately for a moment. Although it's only a moment, people with ordinary martial arts don't even notice the subtle changes, but for a master who has reached a certain level, every environment will sense the surrounding air machines, and even mobilize the internal interest to interact with it. He can feel something's wrong. A leaf did not come from anyone's hand, but shot through the air from the front. It's coming fast, but silent, and weak in martial arts. It is estimated that even if the target had responded, it was already in the path. Fortunately, the other party didn't intend to kill in the Huang family, but just rushed to Shen Qiao's side, obviously intended to warn. If the people inside or the people in the Jianghu will subconsciously exclaim first, and then dodge, or if they know that their skills are not as good as people rushing into the desert, they will definitely make a noise. Guan Lingxin scattered from the birthday party of the Huang family today. The martial arts of the people from the Jianghu are just plain, and there is nothing extraordinary. However, it's just a leaf that flew out, but it was like a rock. Strangely, there was no sound. Huang Lingxin couldn't help but hesitated. He was wondering if there were crouching tigers and dragons here, and there were even master-level masters who didn't even know him. I don't know which distinguished master came here, but eavesdropped and left without permission, Huang Lingxin said. Huang Lingxin talked loudly, while walking out slowly. His sight was no longer covered by the rockery, and people standing behind the rockery came into view. As soon as the figure showed, his expression changed to surprise. Although it was only a short moment, it was enough to tell. It turned out to be Shen Qiao. The last time he went away unhappy, but this time Huang Lingxin still showed a smile as if nothing happened. But Shen Qiao's attention was not on him, but on the person next to him. The one who's standing next to Huang Lingxin is Yan Wushi. The opponent stood against his hands, staring at each other with white stars, glory like jade. A slight smile on the corners of his lips, his aura is domineering full, as if they had met for the first time. Even at the time of his downfall, Shen Qiao had never seen him show his pride like this, showing that he was full self-confident. From the time he led him to Sangjing Xing, until the two broke up in the ruined temple. Shen Qiao went to Chang'an alone, and all kinds of things happened in the middle. So far it passed in 4 months. 4 months is not long, but also is not short. For martial arts people, if they can realize it, it will be enough overnight. If there is no advance, it will be useless for several years and decades. Yan Wushi was a grand master of martial arts, and there was no other Zhu Yanqi, including the volume related to the magic gate. He had previously told Shen Qiao that he already had a way to repair the magic heart flaw in his body. So, in these 4 months, it is not impossible to reappear after the first month. But the question is, how did he recover from Sangjing's martial arts that night? Huang Lingxin apparently participated in the siege of the 5 masters, and even played a crucial role in it. It can be said that he directly caused Yan Wushi's injuries to intensify, and ultimately the culprit of defeat. How could Yan Wushi be with him again? Moreover, depending on the situation, those two people laughed and smiled. They even looked quite harmonious. It didn't look like they were going to pull each other. Shen Qiao had a lot of questions in his heart, and for a moment he didn't know if he should ask Yan Wushi whether he was good first, or deal with Huang Lingxin first. Huang Lingxin smiled indifferently. It seems that Shen Qiao is very confused about why I am here. Shen Qiao settled down, and found that he had just appeared because of Master Yan. He was in a state of chaos and shook. He just used this sentence to calm his mind. Then he said, the Huang Master Party is not only for everyone, but also for the Huang sect leader. This Dao is not the master here, so naturally he has no right to ask questions, but I don't know why Lord Yan is here again. Huang Lingxin looked at Yan Wushi with a smile and asked, should Lord Yan explain to Shen Qiao? Unexpectedly, Yan Wushi said a moment. Who is this person? Do I know him? It was like a pot of snow pouring down on the head, but Shen Qiao's heart was so cold when he heard. He looked carefully and found that not only the other person's expression was strange, but also his eyes were estranged, not to mention that it was not a long time to be happy, and he did not even have the familiarity of reunion. In the ruined temple, the man who said silly Achiao with a sigh of laughter was still in front of him, and that sentence seemed to be in his ears. From the bottom of the half-step peak, the fate of the two seemed to be tied tightly by an invisible line. If you say that Yan Wushi was the first who saved Shen Qiao, and after Shen Qiao also saved his life several times, even pulling him back from the edge of life and death. Yan Wushi got it with no mercy to Shen Qiao, or even personally putting him into a fire pit by hand, almost made Shen Qiao suffer an outrageous disaster. To elaborate, it should be Yan Wushi that owes him a little, but the human heart in the world cannot be calculated as clearly as the business. Entanglement of grudges have long been unclear. Until in the ruined temple, Yan Wushi placed him in a Buddha statue, but went alone to lead Sang Jingxing. Everything seems to have changed. But now, the people he couldn't find suddenly appeared in front of him, mingling with the enemy. What happened in the meantime? This should not be the case. This should not be the case. This sentence rang several times in Shen Qiao's heart. He suddenly remembered the situation when the other party woke up into a demon after waking up from a serious injury. Therefore, he forgot about Jian Chen, and Guang Lingsun just entered the situation at this time. He did not know what to say, so that Yan Wushi could believe him. In the event of a sudden change, Shen Qiao then calmed down quickly and thought about the response. Lord Yan has such a bad memory that he couldn't even save his benefactor. Shen Qiao said. Salvation benefactor. Yan Wushi's voice was full of jokes. I'm going to look at this seat. What can you do? Dare to be my salvation benefactor. As he spoke, his figure had floated out, and his five-finger sunruo grabbed Shen Qiao with the pace of lightning. Every action, every word, and every action of a martial artist can reflect the martial arts level. Yan Wushi did not underestimate Shen Qiao. With this palm out, but he used at least 60% to 70% of the skill, even if the opponent is equivalent to him. Forced to have to draw swords to face each other. However, Shen Qiao was well prepared. He was unwilling to fight Yan Wushi in the front of Guang Lingsun, not to mention that this was still someone's home. When he stepped back a few feet and fluttered out from behind the rockery, his figure was gone missing. It's really like a rootless duckweed. As soon as this light work is done, not only Yan Wushi's face is slightly surprised, even Guang Lingsun can't help but scream. Shen Daozang's trivial achievement is incredible. I am afraid only a few people can afford it today. Tianqiu Hongying, so unpretentious, Xuandu Mountains really deserves its reputation. The sect leader Guang has won the prize. Shen Qiao looked indifferent. Here is Huangfu family's place. It's hard to come here as a guest. It's not good to ruin the other's birthday party. If Lord Yan wants to fight, please set the hour location. Asking for the guide. Guang Lingsun said with a smile, although there is no one here, it would not be beautiful if it shocked the host. Without a teacher, Shen Daozang wants to tell you the old way, you might as well set a new time. Shen Qiao's eyelids jumped. Yan Wushi sneered, I don't know him, so why should I tell him the old way? If everyone comes to you by this name, will I have to fight them one by one? Although he can still see his inner strength seems not perfect. But it's generally very good. However, relying on only a few hands to hold, you will lose to me under 100 moves? What kind of opponent can you see through at a glance? This remark was very different from what he said that day. What I want is a rival, not a friend, who is evenly matched. Shen Qiao found that no matter how bad the situation was, he also learned to laugh at himself. If you don't fight, how do you know that I'm not as good as you? Shen Qiao asked Yan Wushi. He tried to provoke Yan Wushi to fight with himself, but only to have the opportunity to be alone with him and to tell him that Guang Lingsun was an enemy, not a friend. It is a pity that Yan Wushi was too lazy to look at him again and disperse to Guang Lingsun.
I was impatient to stay here longer because you have asked me to come to listen to music, Yan Wushi said. Huang Lingxin groaned, but did not refute. Yes, it is my fault. Yan Wushi said, go and listen for yourself. Come to me at the end, you know where I am. Huang Lingxin answered, okay, if you take a step, I won't restrain you. The two seemed familiar with each other, and Shen Qiao could not intervene at all. Standing beside them made him superfluous. End of the chapter. Stay tuned for more BL.